The story opens with a quiet shot of clustered apartment buildings. Inside one of them, in a small, dimly lit room, lies our main character, fast asleep, his computer still running. The loud chime of his phone alarm jolts him awake. As he silences it, a thought slips into his mind. It's all so pointless. He mutters that he just wants to quit everything and drop out. He steps out of his room. On the fridge, a small sticker from his mother reads, "Eat well and go to school. I'm off to work." With a sigh, he walks outside. As he looks up at a nearby luxury apartment complex, he wonders if the kids living there could ever imagine a life like his. The next scene cuts to a brutal moment at school, our MC being beaten by a group of boys. One of them, wearing a white hoodie, apologizes sarcastically, claiming he meant to go easy on him. Another mocks him, saying if he'd fallen the wrong way, he could have cracked his head open. But the MC takes the beating silently. This boy is Park Seong-bin, 18 years old, a second-year student. Cold, violent, and domineering. Suddenly, a voice interrupts from behind. This hallway's damn noisy. It's Han Yena. Calm, but clearly irritated, she tells Seong-bin to stop harassing losers like the MC. Guys like you who pick on the weak are disgusting. Stop dirtying up the school. Seong-bin just laughs. We're not bullying him. He's our class mascot. Yena fires back, saying if they want to play, they should do it outside. The two begin arguing, and MC watches silently, narrating in his mind. Both Seong-bin and Yena are classmates. Yena, a privileged girl from a wealthy family of elite doctors, lives in a luxury apartment, excels academically, and is popular on social media. To everyone else, she seems perfect. But beneath that flawless image lies her deep contempt for poor students like the MC. The story flashes back to 8th grade, the moment the MC first saw her true colors. When he timidly asked if they were heading the same way home, she turned to him coldly and said, "You stink. Don't follow me. If we're going the same way, just take a different route." That was the moment he understood. She looked down on him, even found his presence disgusting. That day he realized he was someone she wanted to erase. In high school, MC is still stuck in the same class as Han Yena, a rich, cold classmate who despises him. Though she never physically hurts him like Seong-bin does, her cruel words and icy glares cut just as deep. Despite all this, MC remains confused about how he feels toward her. Does he hate her, or still like her? Maybe it's just the twisted emotion of someone used to being at the bottom. Every day, he's crushed by Seong-bin and emotionally wrecked by Yena, surviving in a constant loop of silent humiliation. Later, he chats with his only two friends, Byongjun and Sunho, who are in different classes and unaware of the daily torment he endures. They talk about anime and an upcoming Lumina concert, teasing him over not fangirling over Jian anymore. He gives them a half-hearted smile, stands up, and walks away, murmuring that he doesn't care about anything anymore. His friends exchange confused looks, wondering if he's really that brokenhearted. Is he really acting like the world ended over some idle rumor? MC sits quietly at his desk, wishing the school day would just end. Meanwhile, Seong-bin and his gang boast about beating someone in a fight. They mock a guy who defected from North Korea. As they talk, someone enters the classroom, a new transfer student, Hakshul. He interrupts the conversation, warning them to watch their mouths. Seong-bin grabs him by the collar and curses, but Hakshul just stares him down. Tension builds until someone steps in and diffuses it. Seong-bin mutters, "If you don't want to die in South Korea, just shut up," and storms off. Watching everything unfold, MC mutters inwardly, "This really is the shittiest class in the whole school." As he walks home, he makes a firm decision. "I'm done. I'm quitting school tomorrow. That's the shortcut to happiness in this hell." But then, a voice calls him from behind. It's Seong-bin again. They order him to go ask an old lady to buy them cigarettes. MC hesitates. "I'm quitting anyway. Maybe I should stand up to these bastards just once." But in the end, he walks away silently, leaving them speechless. MC is now groaning in pain on the cold ground. The gang had beaten him again. Seong-bin holds a brick above him, threatening to end it all right there. Broken, MC begs him, "Just kill me already. I don't want to live anymore." But Seong-bin only laughs cruelly, warning that if he ever writes Seong-bin's name in a suicide note, he'll go find his mom and kill her too. Even the other boys think he's gone too far. They leave. MC is left alone, bloodied, hollow, and barely breathing. He stumbles through the streets afterward, gazing up at tall buildings. Wouldn't it be easier to just fall and end everything? That's when a voice pierces his thoughts. It's Han Yena. She sees his bruised face and sneers, "What are you doing here? This isn't even your neighborhood. You here to steal something?" He doesn't respond. She continues, asking if someone beat him up again. Then she blurts out, "Why don't you fight back? Don't you even have that much courage?" She mocks him again, saying his entire life is just miserable. Still, he says nothing. He turns and starts walking away. Yena yells at him, "Are you ignoring me now? What's wrong with you? You're seriously pathetic." But then she sighs and mutters, "Whatever, I'm talking to Xiangbin tomorrow." MC finally returns home. He turns on his PC and loads up a zombie game. Seriously? I gave up on dying because of her, but she wasn't wrong. Maybe quitting school isn't so bad. Maybe he can help his mom. Maybe things can actually start to change. As he plays, one friend suddenly says something urgent came up and logs off. Then another one disappears too. Weird. MC checks the time. It's late. While they're playing, his friend suddenly asks, "You seen the news? It's chaos outside." Before MC can even react, someone knocks on his door. He gets up to check who it is. Peering through the peephole, he sees his upstairs neighbor swaying unsteadily in the hallway, slurring his words. Did the delivery guy mess up again? The MC wonders, confused. He hesitates for a moment, then opens the door. He opened the door and froze. Standing in front of him was his upstairs neighbor, face pale, mouth smeared with blood, and eyes completely vacant. His clothes were soaked red, the blood still dripping onto the floor. MC staggered back in fear. Are you okay?" he stammered, reaching for his phone. "Should I call 119? But before he could even finish the sentence, the man let out an inhuman shriek and lunged forward, trying to sink his teeth into MC's neck. Startled and confused, MC stumbled backward, shouting, What the hell? What are you doing?" In desperation, he raised his leg and kicked the man in the chest, sending him crashing to the floor. Without wasting a second, MC slammed the door shut and locked it. Heart pounding, he leaned against the door, gasping for breath. His entire body trembled. What was that? That wasn't just blood. His face, it didn't even look human anymore. Still shaking, he dialed the police, but the line was eerily silent. No ringing, no tone, nothing. Then he checked his notifications. A flood of emergency alerts had been pushed to his phone. They warned of an unknown outbreak in the city. Citizens were advised to remain indoors and await rescue or evacuation orders. Before he could process it all, he heard a noise, shouting and screaming from outside. He rushed to the window and peeked through the blinds. Chaos. People were running through the streets, chased by others who no longer looked human. The infected tore into flesh without hesitation. MC's hands trembled as he pulled the blinds shut. His thoughts immediately went to his mother. She's usually back around this time. Is she okay? Is she stuck somewhere out there? He frantically tried to call her, but the line wouldn't connect. Again and again, the call failed. There was no signal, no connection, just emptiness. As night fell, he curled up in a corner of his room under his blanket. Cold, terrified, and helpless. The internet was down. His phone had become useless. He turned on the TV at low volume. The news anchor reported a disturbing wave of brutal murders across the country, all committed by unidentified civilians. The government was treating it as indiscriminate terrorism, though no solid information had been released yet. The MC frowned. Terrorism? It didn't make sense. Then came another update. Killings were now being reported in Busan and several other cities. The situation was spreading fast, too fast. This wasn't just random violence. Could it really be zombies? It felt unreal. Could everything fall apart from Seoul to Busan in a single day? Shaken, he realized he couldn't just sit around. He remembered his upstairs neighbor had gone out earlier. If the building wasn't safe, the first step was to shut the front door. He carefully stepped into the hallway, heading towards the entrance. When he cracked the door open to check, a zombie turned and looked right at him. Startled, he slammed the door shut. The creature eventually wandered off. That was close, he thought. The building was too quiet. Were the others okay? He considered staying put and waiting for morning or rescue. Returning to his room, he turned back to the news, only for the broadcast to suddenly cut out. Left with nothing to do, he tried to sleep, but his thoughts wouldn't let him. Just yesterday, he'd wished the world would end. Now that it had, he found himself struggling to survive. Maybe nothing's really changed, he thought. It's still hell. Either way. The next morning, chaos still ruled outside. Moans echoed in the distance. Through the door crack, he saw zombies roaming nearby. Everything looked bloody and broken. Going out now would be suicide. Back inside, he took inventory. 4 ramen packs, 6 cup noodles, instant and uncooked rice, some side dishes, and 3 bottles of water. The tap was still working. He figured he could last about a month with rationing. Surely, someone will come before then. He checked his phone, still hoping to hear from his mother, but the signal was gone. Thinking about the building's residents, he counted 5 households in total. 1 man had already turned into a zombie. An elderly couple and a middle-aged woman lived on the floor above. Were they still alive? Then he remembered the college student on the rooftop, the guy who always brought his girlfriend over every Tuesday. And yesterday had been Tuesday. Maybe he's still up there. He went upstairs and peeked into the guy's unit. No one was inside. My last hope is the rooftop room, he thought. The rooftop door was slightly open. He stepped inside the rooftop unit. The door leading to the inner room was open too. As he entered cautiously, he noticed a few things scattered across the floor. It looked like someone had left in a hurry. Or worse. Just when he thought the room was empty, he froze. There were bloodstains across the floor. And then, standing near the bathroom door, the rooftop guy. Motion. MC froze. Shit, he mumbled it under his breath, trembling as he stared at the streaks of red staining the floor. MC's breath caught in his throat. Just as he turned to leave, his arm clipped the edge of a flower pot. Crash. The pot shattered across the floor. The zombie's head jerked up. MC ran. He bolted for the exit, but his feet tangled together and he hit the ground hard. Pain shot up his knees. He turned just in time to see the zombie rushing at him. In a panic, MC screamed and reacted on instinct, grabbing the man's body, shifting his weight, and throwing him. The infected man flew through the rooftop opening, tumbling through the air, and disappeared. MC lay on the floor, breathless, staring at the space where the man had stood. Did I just kill someone? His legs moved before his thoughts could catch up. He rushed down the stairs and into his room, slamming the door behind him. His body trembled uncontrollably. He sank to the floor. He was going to attack me. It was self-defense, he whispered, trying to convince himself. I didn't have a choice, but guilt gripped him like a vice. Evening came. The sky outside was dyed red. MC sat alone in the corner, curled into himself. No matter how many times he repeated the truth, he attacked first. The weight of what he'd done crushed his chest. Eventually, he stood. He had to see it for himself. He stepped outside and looked up. The rooftop guy was still there, broken but moving, standing. MC's breath hitched. He's alive? But no, he wasn't alive. Not anymore. That thing, whatever it was, wasn't human. Not anymore. MC looked at him for a long moment. I'm sorry, he whispered, and quietly returned to his apartment. But strangely, the fear was fading. The more he saw these things, the less human they looked, the less they scared him. The next morning, MC quietly ate his breakfast. He looked at the flames under his pot. As long as the gas is running, I can keep cooking like this. But how long until that cuts off too? He sighed. Is it really okay to just sit here in this basement and wait? Wait until the food runs out? Until help maybe never comes? He hadn't seen any infected in the building since the rooftop guy. That meant maybe the others never turned. Maybe someone was still alive upstairs. I should try again tomorrow. Maybe ask for help. He paused. Was it because he'd already given up on life a few days ago? Or was it everything he'd been through since? He wasn't sure, but what he did know was that he wasn't afraid of the infected anymore. That's when his phone suddenly rang. It's his mother. She hurriedly tells him she's safe and staying at a shelter in Seongnam after meeting the military during the evacuation. She says a rescue team will be sent for him and urges him to stay inside and wait. But then the call abruptly disconnects. Mom? Hello? He yells, but the line is dead. Still, he manages a faint smile. She's alive. That's all that matters. Suddenly, his phone buzzes with new message alerts. It's a group chat from school. He scrolls through, seeing names like Sunho and Byungjun. They lived near each other. If anyone could help each other out, it was them. Out of all the classmates, only they and his mother had contacted him since this nightmare began. Then his eyes stopped on another name, Han Yena. Out of everyone he knew, she lived the closest. His mind drifted back to last year. The room smelled strongly of alcohol, bottles scattered across the table as laughter filled the air. MC sat uncomfortably amid the chaos while Han Yena, invited by mutual friends, arrived. The guys joked about her coming as a sign she was looking for a boyfriend. Seongbin teased MC, saying, Changmin, this is your chance, and soon announced, I just got a text. She's here. When Yena entered, the group offered her a seat. MC froze, but the real stain wasn't their crude jokes, it was her reaction. She grimaced, fanning the smoky air and complaining about the sticky floor and stuffy room, then looked straight at MC, asking why he hadn't told her it was his place. That moment stayed with him like a splinter. Now, sitting alone on the toilet in his dark apartment, MC sighed, thinking she must be safe. Yena always lands on her feet. Yet, if he found himself liking her again, he felt hopeless. His thoughts turned to his father, a hospital director, wondering if he knew anything about the virus affecting people's minds. But why was he thinking about Yena now? A voice called out. MC? He sat upright. Was that someone calling me? MC, are you inside? Open the door. His eyes widened. That voice. No, it was her Han Yena. She looked up at him, calling out, "Open the window." But then there were voices, heavy footsteps. From around the corner, a pack of zombies came charging toward her. She turned, eyes wide. She slammed on the door, screaming, "Open up, please." MC didn't hesitate. He threw the door open. "Come in, now." Yena dashed inside. MC slammed the door behind her and locked it. She collapsed inside, huffing, gasping for air. MC stood in front of her, stunned. "Are you okay? What the hell are you doing here?" She didn't answer. Instead, she grabbed him. Leaning in close, her breath hot against his neck. MC froze. What the hell is happening? After collapsing in the MC's arms, Han Yena remained motionless against his chest for a few quiet moments. Concerned, the MC gently asked if she was okay. Slowly lifting her head, Yena looked at him and sincerely thanked him. If it hadn't been for him, she admitted, she probably would have died out there. The MC blushed at her words, brushing off the praise by saying it was nothing, and that he was just relieved she was safe. Glancing around the room, Yena asked if he was alone in the house. The MC explained that his mother had gone to work 3 days ago and hadn't returned since, but by a stroke of luck, he'd managed to reach her. She was safe, for now, somewhere else. Yena gave a quiet nod. "I see. I'm glad to hear that." Then he asked about her parents. Yena said she had managed to get in touch with her father once, and he seemed to be safe at his workplace. But just as she began to mention her mother, she trailed off, then quickly added that both their parents were doing fine. Avoiding further talk, she asked if he had any water. She was incredibly thirsty. Later, the MC watched in disbelief as Yena gulped down every last drop of water he had. He was stunned at how much she drank, then grew uneasy. If the water supply got cut off, they'd be in serious trouble. As he stared at her, the thought struck him. She must have risked her life to make it here. Curious, he asked how she had gotten from her house to his and why she came to him of all people. Her answer shocked him. She revealed that she'd been hiding outside this entire time. 3 days ago, after running into him near the apartment complex, she'd gone home to change. But shortly after, chaos erupted. People were screaming and running. Without thinking, she joined the crowd and ended up hiding in the stairwell of a nearby shopping center. She'd waited there, hoping someone would come for her. No one did. The MC asked if she had really stayed alone all that time. Yena explained that she'd found one unlocked door near the stairwell. It led to a small meeting room. The inner door wouldn't open, so she had no choice but to stay there. There was a water jug, which kept her alive, but by the 3rd day, the hunger and thirst became unbearable. Her house wasn't far, less than a kilometer, so she decided to take a chance. She crept down silently, hoping to find a police officer or a rescue team. But the path was blocked by zombies. She had to reroute, slipping through alleys and abandoned streets until she found herself in the MC's neighborhood. She knew he'd returned home 3 days ago. She was betting that he was still there. She dodged the infected and snuck her way toward his place, circling around dangerous paths until she finally made it. Letting out a long sigh, she said it was a huge relief to see him home. Then, suddenly, she stood up and declared that she needed a shower. The MC, startled, blurted out something about how soft her armpits looked. Clearly, she'd been sweating a lot. He quickly offered her some of his clothes. Her reaction was swift. Red-faced, she kicked him hard, calling him insane and a complete loser, just like she always thought he was. Tossing in a few insults for good measure, she turned to leave. She muttered that she didn't even have the energy to curse him properly. When she asked about the bathroom water, he nodded silently, giving her the go-ahead. The MC was left stunned. What just happened? Originally, he had planned to go outside today in search of more supplies. But now that Yena was here, it felt wrong to just leave her alone. Even worse, the food supply in the house was only enough for one person, for a month. With 2 of them, their survival window had drastically shortened. It all felt hopeless. He glanced toward the bathroom door. Han Yena taking a shower in his house? It was as surreal as the zombie apocalypse itself. Back in the day, she wouldn't even make eye contact with him, treated him like some kind of bug. As he wrestled with those thoughts, she suddenly called out from inside the bathroom. She asked for a change of clothes. She'd been wearing the same outfit for days and needed to wash it. The MC scrambled to find a t-shirt and pajamas that might fit her. As he handed them over, his face burned red with embarrassment. But Yena grimaced. The clothes smelled musty. Didn't he have anything better? He admitted they were all pretty much the same. She groaned, saying the stink was unbearable, but she'd wear them anyway until hers dried. She also asked him to spray some Febreze or something. He insisted he had just washed those clothes recently. But Yena grumbled again. She was super sensitive to smells and wished he'd understand that. As she walked off, the MC wondered, was she always this thoughtless? Or was it just her personality? Either way, worrying about how something smelled during a zombie outbreak felt bizarre. While having dinner, Yena asked what they should do now. Just stay here and wait for rescue? The MC told her that right before she arrived, he had been thinking of moving to a new location the next day. She frowned. Why move when there's still food here? Why risk going outside? She reminded him she had nearly died just getting here. Now he was planning to go back out. He explained it was just an idea, not a decision. But the truth weighed heavily on him. If they stayed, they'd eventually run out of supplies. The only solution would be to break into neighboring apartments or the upstairs units, but aside from the rooftop room, he couldn't be sure those places weren't infected. And lately, the screaming from nearby buildings had been dying down. An ominous sign. If their food completely ran out, he told her, they would have no choice but to go outside. Yena's face turned pale. She refused. The MC reassured her that they'd only go if it came to that. She told him she nearly died making that 1-kilometer journey to his place. He acknowledged that 1 kilometer was quite far, and it was impressive she made it safely. Maybe she had a real knack for surviving. She looked at him and asked if he was scared of the monsters. He replied that they just needed to understand what they were dealing with. From what he had observed, if someone got attacked and bitten, they'd turn into one of them, as if it were some kind of virus. He reminded her that she'd made it all the way here without getting bitten, and based on what he had seen, not all zombies were fast. Some barely moved, some were already collapsed, and their overall speed was slower than a sprinting human. That meant they could avoid them, if they were careful. He asked her if she'd ever played tag as a child. Just think of this like a big game of tag, he said. It might even feel a little exciting. Yena looked horrified. You're calling this a game? You crazy bastard, she snapped. This isn't fun. This is life or death. Exhausted, she sighed and told him to lay out some blankets. She hadn't had a proper night's sleep in days. The MC set up a bed for her, but as soon as she noticed there were 2 pillows, she raised an eyebrow. Are you trying to sleep next to me? He was confused. She pointed toward the door. You're sleeping out there. Scratching his head, he muttered, Come on, this is my house. Sleeping in front of the bathroom is a bit much. Fine, she huffed. I forgot. I'm just an uninvited guest. She turned toward the bathroom. I'll sleep in there. You can have the comfy spot. He tried to stop her, but she insisted. Never mind, I'll sleep on the bloody stairwell instead. A drawn-out argument followed, but in the end, the MC gave in. He slept outside in front of the bathroom while Yena slept comfortably inside. He sighed. It felt like he'd lost. But at least, he wasn't alone anymore, even if she did talk a lot. As the night dragged on, the growls of the undead echoed just beyond the walls. Suddenly, Yena's voice called out softly through the door. She admitted she couldn't sleep alone. It was too scary. She asked him to come inside and sleep in the room with her. Inside the dimly lit room, the MC sat quietly in a corner. Han Yena, still uneasy, whispered into the silence, That sound, I've heard it so many times while hiding on those stairs, but it never stops being terrifying. She wrapped her arms around her knees and murmured, I miss my mom. The MC didn't say anything, just watched her silently. By morning, the rooftop and nearby buildings were crawling with zombies, their groans echoing like a low, endless hum. Despite the horror outside, Han Yena had somehow managed to fall into a peaceful sleep. The MC sat nearby, staring at her. She said she couldn't sleep with those noises, he thought, but now look at her. It's already 9. Eventually, she woke up and groggily asked, Where are you going? I was thinking of heading back up to the rooftop, he replied, keeping his voice calm. Yena sat up quickly, alarmed. You're going there. What if more infected showed up? He tried to reassure her. If there are any, I'll be fine. Then he asked, You want to come with me? No way. I'd rather stay here. I'm not stepping out again. As he made his way up the stairs, something stopped him cold. He noticed a crack spreading across the glass front door. Damn it, he muttered. It won't last much longer. At the rooftop, he heard a voice behind him. It smells so bad here. He turned in surprise. It was Han Yena. When they entered the rooftop room, MC's eyes widened in panic as he saw the remains of the girl who had died earlier, her body completely ravaged. He offered a silent prayer before backing away. Yena asked quietly, Was someone in there? Yeah, but they've already passed. It's better not to look. On the rooftop, MC suggests lighting a fire to signal helicopters, but only when one passes by. Yena agrees and tries shouting for help until MC stops her, warning it could attract zombies. Back inside, the mood lightens. Yina casually asks about MC's MBTI, surprised he's never taken the test. She teases him for being an introverted gamer, especially since he plays zombie games, ironically mirroring their current situation. Despite the teasing, MC reflects on his past crush on her, realizing how strange it feels to have these conversations while the world is falling apart. He snapped out of his daze when Yina kicked him. "Hey, why are you ignoring me? Crazy loser!" Days passed. Yina lay on the couch reading Manhwa while MC scrubbed laundry by hand. "You done yet?" She groaned. "I'm starving." MC muttered under his breath. "I swear, I'm gonna leave her behind one day." "What am I? Her slave?" Electricity was gone, the laundry had to be done manually, and worst of all, their food supply was running dangerously low. Grabbing his backpack, MC announced, "I'm heading out." Yena looked up. "Don't be late. 30 minutes, got it? If you make me wait again, you're dead meat." MC slipped outside, keeping low, scanning his surroundings. He had developed a routine, patrolling the neighborhood during the day through safe zones. After days of observation, he had learned some patterns. The infected behaved like rabid animals, attacking only the living, not the dead. Poor eyesight meant they rarely noticed anything beyond 5,100 meters, and during daylight they were sluggish, sometimes hiding in shadows. But come nightfall, they were relentless. MC couldn't help but recall Rage Z, the zombie game he'd obsessed over. Was it just a coincidence? Or is this really connected? He shook the thought off. No, that's crazy, right? Back at the inside MC's house, Han Yena sat restlessly. She had already finished reading all the comic books, leaving her bored and restless. Glancing at the clock, she frowned. Why isn't he back yet? Frustration crept in. Lately, he barely listens to me anymore, she thought bitterly. Then, a faint sound reached her ears, something like a helicopter. Her heart jumped, but it quickly sank again. What's the point? She thought. We tried signaling them before with smoke and they didn't even notice us. It was pointless. Time dragged on. With each passing minute, her anxiety grew. It's already been an hour and a half. What if something happened to him? Did he get attacked? Pacing the room, she clenched her fists. Why does he always go outside when it's this dangerous? If he tries that again tomorrow, I swear I'll break his legs. As the sun dipped below the horizon, shadows filled the room. Han Yena sat curled up in a corner, tears silently rolling down her cheeks. Please, come back soon. Don't leave me alone. Suddenly, a sound. Keys, the door creaking open. MC stepped in, panting, scratched and visibly exhausted. You're 3 hours late, she screamed through her tears. Do you have a death wish? But MC raised a hand, holding out a crumpled leaflet. Wait, look at this. A helicopter dropped these. I chased them, all the way to where they landed. She snatched one from his hand, scanning it quickly, her expression darkening. What the heck is this? As Han Yena flipped through the government flyer, her face turned pale. The notice urged all survivors in Gongbuk to evacuate by 6 p.m. on the 10th. After that, the city would be sealed off. How can they just shut down an entire city? She murmured. The MC told her to flip it over. On the back was a map showing infection rates by district. Their area was marked under caution. He explained, Our neighborhood's safer for now, but we're surrounded by high-risk zones. We're next. Yena asked if the lockdown covered the whole Gangbuk area. Most likely, he replied. They'll seal everything north of the Han River. If even our safe zone is like this, the rest must be worse. Direct routes to the Han River were crawling with infected, so they'd need to take a longer, safer path through the east. There's a place called Yongxiondong, he said. It's listed as safe. If we head there, we might avoid most of the infected. He guessed that the area might be protected by military barricades. Yena was surprised. He sounded calm, smart, even strategic, a side of him she hadn't seen before. Then he looked at her and said, We're leaving tomorrow morning. Tomorrow? If we want to avoid the infected, we move at dawn. Yena hesitated. What if a rescue comes? Can't we wait? If you want to die here, stay. I'm leaving. After a pause, Yena covered her face, then nodded. Next day, they stood by the door, ready. Just before leaving, MC asked, Aren't you going to your dad's hospital? Didn't you say he worked there? Yena shrugged. He told me he was heading out of the city with my mom. They're probably safe. But her tone felt off. Outside, they moved cautiously, zigzagging through alleys and abandoned streets. MC checked every path before signaling Yena forward. Eventually, they made it past their neighborhood. Yena looked around. That was easier than I thought. Back then, I just panicked and ran to your place. Quiet doesn't mean safe, MC warned. They hide in shadows, but that doesn't mean they won't show up during the day. Stay alert. As they walked, Yena groaned. Isn't Yongxiondong supposed to be close? Just a bit more, he assured. She sighed. Should have brought my bike. Would have been way faster. Yeah, but we can't use shared ones. Network's down, and every other bike's already gone. Tired, she asked for a break. My legs are killing me. How about we stop at a cafe for coffee too? MC said dryly. She snapped. You've been annoying since we left. A little later, she grumbled again. How much farther? A bit more, he said, struggling to stay patient. Finally, they reached a barricade. That's Yongshuandong, MC said. Should be safer from here. Yina lit up. MC guessed someone had to be managing the barricades, maybe survivors or the military. As he climbed up to check, he told her to stay alert. No infected here either, she noted. She pointed to a nearby building. Looks like a good place to rest. We don't have time, MC replied. Stop exaggerating. Exaggerating? Shh, jerk. The streets are in ruins. Shattered storefronts, wrecked cars, bloodstains, and bodies paint a grim picture. Amid it all, Han Yena walks beside young Minjun, complaining that she's thirsty and asking how much further. Minjun ignores her. She demands water again. He finally snaps. They have to conserve if they want to survive. Yena mocks him. Didn't you say this area's safe? Go get some water. Minjun stops. Get it yourself. You've got hands, don't you? She freezes. What did you say? Her voice turns cold. You've been treating me like garbage. Minjun faces her. I'm not your servant. I've done enough. You don't get how serious things are. Yena loses it. You think you're tough now? Back at school, you were a bug. No grades, no skills. Useless. Minjun sighs. You're still stuck in the past. In this world, you're the dead weight. You scream. You draw attention, and you can't even see it. He turns to leave. If you don't need me, I don't need you. Get lost. Yena laughs bitterly. Fine. I don't need someone like you either. Get lost. Minjun doesn't flinch. He keeps walking. Fuming, Yena storms off the other way. In her head, she curses him, thinking she should have slapped him across the face. Who did he think he was? He wouldn't last long alone. But her pace slows. The road ahead is blocked. Something feels off. She pauses. Her eyes dart around. She swears she saw movement in the shadows. A strange smell hangs in the air. She stares at the blocked alley, imagining infected pouring out from behind the wreckage. Elsewhere, Minjun walks alone until he hears her voice. Yena's come back. Her tone is softer now. Let's just go together. Minjun turns. Still giving orders? Didn't you tell me to get lost? She bites her lip. I take it back. We both need to get to Gangnam anyway. He doesn't budge. Then apologize. You called me a bug, right? If you want to survive with me, then now you're the one crawling. Got it? That was the price. And to his surprise, she starts crying. Watching her break down, Minjun thinks, this is Han Yena, rich kid, school idol, top of the social chain. She's never apologized to someone like him in her entire life. And he, young Minjun, bullied, poor, invisible. But before the moment could settle, they heard it. A faint, guttural sound. They turned. Zombies, approaching fast. Without hesitation, Minjun grabs her hand and runs. This area was supposed to be safe, Yena shouts. Shut up and move, Minjun snaps. Suddenly, a man appears ahead, waving. Quick, get inside. They rush in. He shoves a bookshelf against the entrance. Hide, now. Yena ducks behind a cabinet. Minjun helps push, but the door buckles. The infected are already breaking through. They're inside. Minjun slams one zombie with the shelf. It's broken through, the stranger shouts. Run, Minjun yells to Yena. They rush to the barricade. As they climb, Minjun tells her to jump first. She leaps, but slips. She lands hard. Her ankle twists. Minjun's eyes widen. Screams echo behind them. Two zombies rush forward. In that moment, something shifts. He remembers her words. If someone bullies you, fight back. If you stay quiet, they'll keep doing it. You need courage. Otherwise, what kind of life are you even living? He clenches his jaw. He's done running. Minjun draws his knife. Yena stares at him, wide-eyed. He stands his ground. As the MC held his knife ready to face the charging zombies, suddenly a scooter roared up beside them. The rider swung down. None other than Seongbin, the notorious bully MC had clashed with before. Seongbin was wielding a baseball bat, and without hesitation, he smashed one zombie right in the face. His group followed suit, aggressively bashing the zombies as MC helped Han Yena to her feet. After the fight, Seongbin laughed, declaring how much fun it was to ride a bike and swing a bat. Turning to Han Yena, he mockingly asked what she was doing there, then sneered, wondering who MC was. The sight of Seongbin made MC's blood run cold. He had hoped to avoid running into anyone more than the infected. Seongbin teased MC, saying they had thought he was covered or safe, but they were obviously wrong. Laughter broke out among them. Seongbin then asked Han Yena if their meeting was a coincidence, joking that their combined presence was hilarious. Han Yena admitted that she would have died without them and expressed her gratitude. Seongbin then invited her to join their group, explaining they had a hideout with a dozen survivors. They talked briefly, and Seongbin insisted she shouldn't be out late and needed to leave immediately. He offered her a seat on his bike and, after a brief hesitation, asked his men if it was really okay to bring Han Yena along, which confused her. Seongbin finally said, just get on. She looked back and told them to bring MC too. However, the group argued it would be better without him, saying they needed to save food and that leaving him behind was the practical choice. Han Yena looked on, concerned. Suddenly, Seongbin changed his mind and said, "No, let's take MC as well. It doesn't hurt to have one more person." But MC firmly refused, saying he wouldn't go with them and had somewhere else to handle on his own. As MC turned to leave, Seongbin stopped him, accusing him of ignoring the offer and asked if he wanted to get killed. He added that no one would care if MC died here. The country was already in chaos. MC watched silently as Seongbin ordered him again to join. Han Yena questioned Seongbin's threats, calling him crazy and reminding him that he was the one who had hit MC last time too. MC remained quiet, but his mind flashed back to an earlier moment where Seongbin had been talking crudely about Han Yena with his friends, saying they had a chance with her today and should try something. One friend even joked about Seongbin having already done something with her, and they laughed openly, oblivious to MC's presence. Back in the present, Seongbin apologized to Han Yena for acting wild earlier, and MC, after a moment's hesitation, agreed to go with them. Seongbin's expression turned serious, saying, "That's more like it. Walking out of this neighborhood right now is basically suicide." They then headed towards their hideout. When they arrived, Seongbin asked MC if he remembered the place. MC immediately recognized it as the site of past bullying, a construction area they had used as their base. Inside, MC quietly told Han Yena he didn't trust the group and had a strong feeling something was wrong. Han Yena laughed it off, assuring him these guys were pushovers and that she and Seongbin had been friends since elementary school. She promised to cover for him if anyone tried to hit him again. Despite that, Han Yena acknowledged that there were other survivors and adults at the hideout. MC asked if she really trusted them, pointing out that they were known for trouble. She then told Seongbin that they planned to leave soon, having heard her parents were at the Seopyeong shelter and that waiting any longer would be dangerous. Seongbin responded that Seopyeong had been wiped out, at least as far as he knew. He suggested she rest with them today and leave tomorrow, but Han Yena was insistent the matter was urgent. At that moment, one of Seongbin's lackeys blocked her path and slammed his bat against the wall, reiterating that she needed to wait until tomorrow, or was there something going on between her and MC? Frustrated, Han Yena clenched her face and repeated that she had to go now, that it was urgent. MC silently acknowledged he had expected this confrontation. Reluctantly, he agreed to go with them and try to talk it out since the sun was setting. Inside the hideout, MC observed that the place was heavily barricaded to keep infected out, but the defenses looked hastily put together. Watching Han Yena under pressure touched him, and he mumbled that he wouldn't leave her side. Suddenly, a zombie screamed outside the barricades, startling Han Yena. She asked if the place was really safe and urged them to do something about the zombies. Seongbin dismissed her fears, saying she scared too easily and that the barricades wouldn't break. MC, looking closer, thought the barricades looked fragile and could collapse at any moment. Seongbin then ordered everyone to climb the stairs to the second floor, where a ladder could be pulled up to prevent zombies from following. As MC climbed, Seongbin introduced a chubby man sitting upstairs who laughed and welcomed the new guests. Seongbin told the man they were from his school and same class, and mentioned Han Yena's name, which made the man blush. Han Yena internally recoiled, thinking of him as a big face freak. The man stood and reassured them the place was safe, telling Han Yena to relax. She mentioned hearing that Gongbuk would soon be shut down, so staying there was risky. The man countered that all roads to Gangnam were closed, so they had to tough it out. He assured them they were well stocked for food and shelter, even if rescue never came. Mick looked around, he noticed a few adults and wondered if they had just broken into someone else's shelter. The fat man asked Seongbin if he found anything on their trip, to which Seongbin replied he was going to check stores but got delayed meeting them. The man said it was great they had more than enough food and joked that bringing a girl was a big win. Hearing this, Han Yena regretted coming along, realizing MC had been right and she had been played by Seongbin. She tapped Seongbin on the back and said they needed to talk. Seongbin asked what was wrong and she pleaded that he let her go back, that she hadn't known it would be like this. She confessed she didn't believe the bridge would be shut down, but now felt she needed to keep going where she was headed. As she tried to leave, Seongbin grabbed her hand angrily and cursed her, telling her she couldn't just leave, and acted as if the world worked on her whims. When she tried to pull away, MC suddenly grabbed Seongbin's hand and told him to let go. Seongbin told MC to leave his hand alone and asked if he really wanted to die today. As the tension escalated, Seongbin sneered at the MC, stepping closer with a mocking grin. He taunted him coldly, asking what he'd do if he didn't back down. Stab him with the kitchen knife from earlier? Then, arms open in mock invitation, he laughed. "Come on, do it. Stab me already." Before things could spiral, the fat guy, the self-proclaimed boss of the shelter, stepped in, asking what was going on. Then, Seongbin turned to the fat guy and pointed out that MC was carrying a kitchen knife. The fat guy, with a grin, demanded the weapon, but MC hesitated. Inside, MC was torn. He knew he couldn't fight all 5 of them, and giving up his only weapon left him vulnerable. Left with no choice, he handed over the knife. A tall guy stepped in next, claiming to be the second in command. He reminded everyone that in a crisis like this, order was crucial. He gave MC a warning, 2 chances. After that, he'd be dead. Meanwhile, the fat guy turned his attention to Yena. With a gross smile, he placed his hand on her shoulder and told her she must be tired from the trip and should rest in the tent. Yena flinched and muttered under her breath, "Stupid." The fat guy narrowed his eyes. "What did you say?" She quickly backpedaled, claiming she was just startled, that she'd been in panic mode for a few days. Thinking fast, she asked if she could eat something first. The fat guy, surprisingly cooperative, asked what she wanted. Meanwhile, MC watched silently, his thoughts racing. This place wasn't a shelter, it was a lawless hellhole. There was no safety here. Not for Yena. These men were just as dangerous as the infected outside. And that fat pig? He wasn't going to leave Yena alone. MC contemplated setting the infected loose to create chaos, but what about the others? Could he really endanger everyone? There were still a few older survivors here too. He wasn't even sure if they could be trusted. Maybe when night falls, if they could hold out until then. Later that evening, the group gathered to eat. One of the men handed MC a plate of pork and told him to give it to the old survivors. MC stared at the few measly pieces and frowned. It was barely anything. He decided to give up a portion of his own food and offered it to the elders, who thanked him gratefully. That night, MC and Yena sat quietly together, keeping to themselves. But then, the fat guy shouted across the space, calling for Yena. "Why are you sitting over there?" he asked. "Come and relax with us." Yena rejected him immediately, saying she preferred staying outside. Internally, she was waiting for the right moment to sneak out. The fat guy grew irritated, accusing her of avoiding him. Just as things started heating up, Seongbin intervened and told him to back off. But the fat guy turned on him angrily, demanding to know what he meant. Seongbin's tone shifted. He cursed at the fat guy, finally snapping, "Back off, you fucking pig!" That was the final spark. The fat guy lunged at him, furious. But Seongbin dodged, got behind him, and locked his arm around the man's thick neck, choking him from behind. Chaos erupted. The fat guy's lackey tried to intervene, but Seongbin's own follower smashed a golf club across his back. The entire hideout turned violent. MC saw his chance. He leaned toward Yena and whispered, "Now, we have to run." They bolted, but not before Seongbin spotted them. "Stop them!" he screamed. One of Seongbin's men tackled Yena and pressed a knife to her throat. "If you move, you die." But Yena didn't freeze. She bit into his arm and broke free. The man lunged to stab her, but MC intercepted him, grabbing the attacker's wrist. The man retaliated with a brutal kick to MC's gut, knocking him down. He slashed across MC's stomach with the knife, drawing blood, then began kicking and beating him mercilessly. Meanwhile, Seongbin cornered Yena and finally revealed his true self. He snarled that he'd been after her since middle school. Every other girl gave in. Why didn't she? Was it because her family was rich? Did she think she was better than him? He exploded with jealousy and rage, screaming about how he wore better clothes, had a better body, and wasn't ashamed of anything. Then, with a twisted grin, he whispered, "Let's see what our fancy little Yena tastes like." An older survivor tried to intervene, telling Seongbin that no matter what happened, he couldn't do that, but Seongbin kicked the old man hard, sending him crashing to the floor. He spat, "Didn't I tell you before not to act like the boss? That was warning number 2. Then, without hesitation, Seongbin picked up the old man and threw him off the first floor, straight into the horde of infected waiting below. The man's screams echoed for a moment, then silence. One of the other elders cried out in horror, shouting that Seongbin was insane, but Seongbin didn't stop. He turned to his men and ordered them, "Toss everyone except Han Yena down." His men hesitated. "I said now!" Yena rushed to MC, trying to wake him up, but Seongbin loomed behind her again. "Where do you think you're going? There's nothing out there but hell. Stay with me." MC was barely conscious, his body battered. One of Seongbin's lackeys picked him up to throw him over the ledge, complaining about his weight and calling for help. Just as they prepared to toss him, MC's bloodied hand shot out. With one final burst of strength, he grabbed the man and pulled him down with him. The chapter picks up with a sudden, piercing scream. Startled, Seongbin turned to his friend and asked what had happened. The reply came in a panic. The other guy fell. He fell to the first floor with that kid. Down below, Minjin was sprawled on the ground next to the attacker. Slowly, the man tried to get up, but then he looked down and froze. His leg was broken. Struggling to his feet, the man limped toward Minjin, grabbing him forcefully and snarling, "Where do you think you're going?" He accused Minjin of being the cause of his injury and demanded help. But before Minjin could respond, a horrifying growl filled the air. A zombie lunged at the injured man from behind, sinking its teeth into him. Watching the scene unfold from above, Seongbin and his friend were paralyzed with fear. And in that split second of chaos, Han Yena seized the opportunity. She bolted. Without hesitation, Seongbin snapped out of his daze and chased after her. "Stop! Are you insane? Do you have a death wish?" he shouted. But Yena didn't stop. She ran harder, tearing through the empty streets until she reached the edge of a broken structure. And then, without warning, she jumped across a large gap to the other side. Seongbin, still right behind her, yelled, "Stop right there! If I catch you, you're done for." He lunged after her, but in his rush, his foot caught on debris, and he tripped, crashing hard to the ground. What happened next shocked him. Yena turned around and screamed. She began shouting loudly, mocking him. "Hey, there's some ugly trash down here. Someone come get him." Her voice echoed through the streets, drawing the attention of nearby infected. Seongbin's eyes widened in terror as zombies started converging on his location. Panicked, he shouted after her, "I'll kill you for this," and scrambled to his feet as the infected closed in. Meanwhile, Yena's expression changed. In her heart, she whispered a silent wish, hoping Minjun was safe. She turned her head, and then she saw him. Minjun was climbing up from the wreckage. Without thinking, she reached down and grabbed his hand, pulling him up to safety. As he collapsed beside her, she anxiously asked, "Are you okay? Did you get bitten?" Minjun, still breathing heavily, shook his head. "I managed to avoid them, but I feel dizzy." But before they could catch their breath, one of Seongbin's friends appeared, bloodied and furious, screaming that he'd kill Minjun. Realizing the danger, Minjun pushed himself up and urged Yena to run. They slid down a slope together, barely escaping the collapsing area. Yena threw Minjun's arm over her shoulder, helping him walk. Screams and pleading cries echoed all around them, distant, yet close enough to keep them moving. As they stumbled through the ruined streets, Yena whispered, "There must be more infected nearby." Minjun, exhausted and injured, told her that if they were spotted, she should run, leave him behind. But Yena refused. She vowed to find a place for them to hide, no matter what. "I'll save you," she said firmly, "no matter what." They continued walking, cautiously sniffing the air. Yena noted that the smell of rot was faint here, meaning the infected might not be close. After a long trek, they spotted something. A building, dimly lit. They entered and Yena looked around. It was empty. Safe. For now, she gently laid Minjun down on the ground. His breathing was heavy, but steady. His lips moved in a quiet whisper. "Please, be safe." Yena's expression crumbled. She knelt beside him, her face trembling, eyes filled with guilt. And the she broke down. Tears streamed down her face as she confessed, "This is all my fault. If it weren't for me, you could have stayed in your house, safe. But I dragged you into this, into that construction site, and you got hurt. Because of me. Because of me." She kept repeating it, her voice cracking under the weight of guilt. Then, suddenly, a sound. A soft creak. Yena froze. She turned toward the door. There, in the corner, was a shadow, the silhouette of a person standing silently. And in that moment, her breath hitched. Who was that? Just as Yena turned toward the shadow in the doorway, a man stepped out, followed by another holding an axe. The first guy squinted at her. "Hey, aren't you the girl from earlier?" She recognized him. It was the same man who had helped them briefly. Relieved, she scrambled up. "Please, he's hurt. He's bleeding a lot." The men stepped closer, asking the one question survivors always did. "Was he bitten?" Yena quickly said, "No, he was stabbed. He's just losing blood." One turned to the other. "The first aid kit?" "It should be in the backpack," came the reply. Before anything could happen, the man behind Yena suddenly grabbed her, clamping a hand over her mouth with a twisted grin. "What a jackpot," he muttered. The other laughed grimly, casually talking about what to do with her. Suddenly, another voice broke through the tension. "That's enough." A third man stepped out from the shadows, warning them to let her go by the count of 3. But instead of backing down, the attackers braced to fight. He dropped his blunt weapon and pulled out a knife. As one lunged, he dodged and slashed his throat in a clean motion. The second man panicked, grabbing Yena. "Stay back, or I'll kill her." But the stranger didn't hesitate. He threw the knife with perfect precision, hitting the man square in the head. Yena stood frozen. She knew him. His name was Kang Hakshul. Kang rushed to check Minjun. After a quick exam, he said the wound wasn't life-threatening, more likely from shock or exhaustion. "How are you so good at this?" Yena asked. Kang shrugged. "Picked it up back in the day." Then Kang's tone turned serious. "This area is dangerous. What are you even doing here?" Yena explained they came after spotting a flyer dropped by a helicopter. It said this zone was safe, but instead they were captured by Seongbin's group. "Seongbin? The one at the construction site?" Kang asked. When Yena said she last saw him running during the chaos, Kang muttered, "He might still be alive." Then he revealed the truth. The flyer was outdated. Yongshon hadn't been safe in a while. Survivors tried building defenses, but they didn't last. Infected sightings had returned, and worse, people had become more dangerous than the zombies. He looked at Yena. "Someone like you, alone and unguarded? If you're kidnapped, no one's coming, and most of Gangbuk's lawless now." When Yena asked why he was here, Kang simply said, "I've got my reasons. I'm heading to Gangnam at sunrise." Her eyes widened. "You heard about the lockdown too? The flyer said they're sealing Gangbuk today." "Yeah, and it's getting worse." The scene cut to ruined roads and infected swarming near the Han River. Kang said people rushed south during the outbreak like it was war. The bridge was sealed, but not before crowds formed a massive infected pileup near the river. How do you know all this? Yena asked. Survivors brought back photo evidence. It's real. But maybe there's still a way, she said. A duckboard or small boat. We could sneak across. Then she asked, is Gangnam actually safe? No guarantee, Kang said. But my little sister's there. She was taken to a shelter. I have to reach her. Yena asked how they got separated. Kang explained. When the outbreak started, he fled with his sister and uncle to a temporary shelter. Soldiers came but only evacuated elders and children. He was left behind. Later, an infected broke in. Chaos followed. He escaped with his uncle, but lost him. Back in the present, Kang stood. I'm leaving at sunrise. The longer I wait, the worse it gets. Yena begged. Then take us. We're going to Gangnam too. We don't know how to get there. But Kang shook his head. More than 3 people? Too risky. And your friend needs rest. Minjun's mother is in Gangnam too, Yena said. Please. Kang looked at her. You've changed. Back in school, I barely knew you. But you're different now. He slung his backpack over his shoulder. We'll talk after sunrise, once he wakes up. Then, he left. At dawn, Kang was already getting ready. Yena walked up. You never saw what happened to Xiangbin, right? He shook his head. No. Why? I'm heading back to that site, maybe get a scooter. There's something I need to check. Yena tried to stop him. You can't! The gates must have collapsed. It's probably full of infected. Everyone there might be dead. Kang gave a half smile. It's just 300 meters away. Then he grew quiet. Want to know how I escaped North Korea with my siblings when I was 12? No money for a broker. We crossed 10,000 kilometers, dodging checkpoints, sneaking through China, Laos, finally reaching Thailand. Took 2 years. I lost one of my brothers along the way. He looked at Yena. When Minjun wakes up, take care of him. I'll be back. And with that, the scene shifted to the silent, ruined construction site. Kang moved carefully, scanning every corner. Let's see, he muttered. That bastard Xiangbin. Are you dead or still breathing? The scene shifted back to the unconscious MC. Sometime later, he slowly opened his eyes, disoriented. Looking around, he asked where they were. Yena, sitting beside him, quietly explained that Kang Hakshul had treated his wounds. Surprised, the MC asked, Hakshul? From our class? She nodded, saying she ran into him by chance after escaping the construction site. Still dazed, the MC admitted he couldn't remember much after falling from the 2nd floor. Everything was a blur. Suddenly, Yena grabbed his hand, her voice trembling. You don't know how scared I was. I thought you might die. Embarrassed, she quickly covered his face with her hand to hide her flustered expression. Trying to mask her worry, she scolded him. Who told you to get stabbed? I appreciate you helping, but what if you died? He apologized, but she cut him off. Don't apologize. Just say thank you. They shared a quiet moment. Yena then said Kang advised him to rest for at least a day. MC tried to sit up, wincing in pain, insisting they couldn't waste time. Gongbuk was about to go into lockdown, but Yena immediately shouted for him to lie down and rest. Just then, a knock came at the door. It was Kang Hakshul. He brought MC's school backpack, which he'd retrieved from the construction site. It still had some of MC's clothes, personal items, and emergency food. There was even a familiar pair of glasses, ones MC's mother had given him. Seeing them again stirred something comforting in him. He thanked Kang, now realizing it was also him who treated his injuries. Yena took the opportunity to ask about the construction site. Did you see Xiangbin? What happened to him? Kang shook his head. Everyone else was infected, but Xiangbin wasn't there, probably took the scooter with him. The kickboard was trashed. Yena grew tense at the thought of seeing Xiangbin again, but Kang told her not to worry. I might lose a fight, but I never lose when it comes to killing. He reminded them again he was still planning to escape Gongbuk. Then he looked at them. You think you can keep up? This MC answered firmly. Of course we can. We have to get out, even if it's right now. But Kang cautioned them against rushing. Let's not be reckless. We need a proper plan. Rushing out there could get us all killed. Then he laid out the plan. Using Line 5, the subway tunnel that crossed Han River underground, he started sketching on a nearby whiteboard. There's a chance the tunnel's still usable. The screen doors at each station make it harder for infected to get inside, but the risk is getting into the station in the first place. Yena asked, wouldn't there be tons of infected around a place like that? Maybe, Kang admitted, but the nearest station, Zhanghan, is our best bet. It's a long walk from here, and once we leave this neighborhood, things are going to get much more dangerous. That evening, Kang shared the rules for survival. Rule 1. Never panic. Don't rush. If there's a safe place, stay and recover before moving again. Rule 2. When near temporary shelters, go out only in pairs or alone. Moving in groups of 3 or more outdoors increases risk unless absolutely necessary. Rule 3. In a dangerous situation, don't sacrifice yourself to save someone else. Even me, Kang said. If it comes down to it, I'll survive my own way. You focus on surviving yours. By morning, Kang handed MC a modified nail bat. It looked deadly. MC stared at it uneasily. You want me to carry something like this? Kang nodded. It's not just for killing infected, it's for scaring off bad people too. Just having it makes you a harder target. He added, infected will attack you like they mean to kill. Don't hesitate. Swing with everything you've got. Aim for the heart or brain. MC, holding the bat, still wasn't sure. Could he really kill someone who used to be human? These infected were once someone's family. Would killing them make him a murderer? And what if the legal system hadn't completely collapsed yet? Sensing his hesitation, Kang snapped him out of it. Don't waste time on those thoughts. This is survival. You hesitate, you die. Got it? MC nodded slowly. Yeah. As they walked through the street, Yena suddenly stopped them. Wait, we can't go that way. Why not? Kang asked. There's a bad smell that way. Foul and distinct, like infected. It's just a feeling, but I don't think it's safe. You can sense them? Kang asked. Not exactly. It's more like a weird intuition. Sometimes it's just a corpse, sometimes infected. I can't always tell, unless they're really close. MC suddenly remembered. Yena had always been unusually sensitive to smells, even before all this. Curious, Kang moved ahead to scout it out. Kang said he'd scout the area but quickly spotted several infected lurking nearby. Surprised, he realized Yena sensed the infected before they were visible. He returned and nodded. You were right. This way's too risky. Just then, the MC called out, pointing. Over there? They spotted an infected soldier in the distance. Kang immediately led them into a nearby building. Once inside, he took them upstairs and scanned the area with binoculars. There are 3 infected soldiers, he said. One still has a rifle. MC was alarmed. Are you seriously thinking of going after that weapon? If there are more than 3 infected, getting that rifle's nearly impossible, he argued. And what if it's empty? Or worse, firing it could attract a whole horde. We don't even know how to use it properly. But Kang looked calm. I do. That's a weapon we need, and I'm going to get it. Han Yena stared anxiously at the rooftop where the infected soldier had last been seen. The idea of retrieving the rifle felt almost impossible. There could be more than 3 infected up there. And to get the weapon, there was only one option. They had to kill those infected soldiers. MC, though hesitant, felt something gnawing at him. He remembered, back when he played that game, he'd often ended up needing to shoot zombies with rifles. If that same logic applied now, then sooner or later, they would need a gun. Despite the danger, MC agreed to go after the rifle. But Yena was shocked. Are you seriously insane? She asked, trying to understand how they even planned to retrieve it. Getting close to them will be hell. Hakshul and MC told her to stay behind and keep watch over their bags. She sighed, reluctantly agreeing, but insisted she was coming too. Hakshul, however, refused. Bringing all 3 of them could be too risky. He told her firmly to stay hidden outside and watch for trouble. As they approached the rooftop, a zombie slowly wandered past. Hakshul moved stealthily behind it, signaling MC to follow. MC asked if Hakshul wasn't scared. He'd come all this way without even hesitating. Hakshul replied that he was nervous, but that fear was keeping him sharp. Once they reached the rooftop, they spotted the 3 infected soldiers standing behind a makeshift barricade. Hakshul pointed them out. Sneaking past wouldn't be easy. MC asked if Hakshul was going to use his throwing knives. Yena had mentioned he was skilled with them, but Hakshul shook his head. A knife wouldn't be enough to take them down in one shot, and they had to end this quickly, within 10 seconds. MC was stunned. 10 seconds? How are we supposed to take them all down that fast? We'll work together, Hakshul said. I'll rush in and take down the closest one. That'll draw the attention of the other 2. You take one out with the nail bat, just one. No matter what happens, focus on that. MC hesitated. Hakshul understood his struggle. I get it. It's not easy, but survival comes first now. If we don't fight, we die. MC nodded. He remembered what happened to the man on the rooftop before. These creatures, they weren't human anymore. Hakshul moved into position, crouched and ready. MC gripped the bat tightly, heart pounding behind him. Then Hakshul lunged forward. The infected turned at once, rushing toward him. Hakshul sprinted straight for the nearest one, aiming to finish it in a single strike. But just as he moved in, the zombie tripped unexpectedly, and Hakshul missed his clean hit. The second infected charged at him. Hakshul slashed at its neck, but the third was already closing in. He shouted for MC. MC was right behind. He swung the bat hard at the zombie's head, but it didn't fall. Hakshul realized he had to get that rifle now. He stabbed the infected in the neck, but in the chaos, his knife slipped from his hand. Another zombie lunged at him. One was on MC. One was charging him. There was no time. Hakshul reached for the rifle slung over the dead soldier's body, hoping it still had bullets. He gripped the weapon and fired. Once, then twice. The infected dropped. He screamed, "MC, down!" and fired again. The echo of real gunfire rang through the air. Far below, Yena flinched. That wasn't some illusion. Those were real gunshots. She scrambled to the binoculars and saw the two figures on the rooftop. They were alive. Back on the rooftop, MC apologized. "Sorry, I wasn't much help." But Hakshul shook his head. "You distracted one of them. That's why I'm still alive. But next time, I'll teach you how to really use that bat." He checked the rifle. It was loaded. A full magazine. But MC's face darkened. He could hear something. Lots of footsteps approaching. A horde was on its way. "We need to move. Now," he warned. Meanwhile, Yena was scanning the area. She couldn't spot them. Did they already make it down? She moved to the first floor to wait, then froze. A sharp, inhuman scream echoed through the air. From the distance, a swarm of infected came rushing toward the sound of the gun. Yena's eyes widened in horror. There was no way she could get down now, not with that many zombies. She hurriedly backed away, thinking it was safer to wait upstairs. But then, something caught her eye. On the street, an infected stood still, staring directly at her. And then it smiled. A grotesque, chilling smile that made Yena's blood run cold. Was it just her imagination? Or did that zombie just smile at her? The stairwell echoed with slow, heavy footsteps, accompanied by a low, guttural gra, gra. Yena froze in place, her breath caught in her throat. That sound, it was unmistakably a zombie climbing up the stairs. But that couldn't be possible. She was sure she had blocked the first floor entrance with heavy debris. No way something could have made it through. Yet now, something was coming. Nearer, closer. The infected creature finally reached the top, its head slowly turning right, revealing a grotesque grin. Its eyes scanned the area, then it tilted its head, straight toward the spot where Yena was hiding. For a second, everything stopped. The air tightened. Then, slash! Hakshul emerged from the shadows, driving his military knife straight into the zombie's neck, taking it down before it could reach her. Yena stumbled back, shaken. "That thing, it smiled at me," she said. "It didn't feel like a normal infected. It was more like someone creepy watching me." Hakshul, wiping his blade, agreed it was infected, but noted the barricade had already been broken before they arrived. It hadn't stumbled in, it forced its way through. That wasn't typical behavior. Could some part of them still remain? He wondered. MC spoke up with a theory. Maybe some are evolving, special types, ones that can think, plan. What if they start climbing ladders, coordinating attacks? He hesitated. It sounds dumb, but it reminds me of a game I used to play. Their behavior, it's too similar. The room went quiet. Even Hakshul paused. "That's a wild theory." Yena raised a brow. "Wait, you think we're in a game?" MC shook his head. "No, just forget I said that." Hakshul took a breath. "Whatever the case, this is the worst outbreak in history. We have to be ready for anything." MC asked what had been on his mind. "Earlier, when you got splashed with blood, is that dangerous?" Hakshul reassured him. "It's fine. Blood doesn't turn you. Only a bite does." He checked their gear. One rifle with 15 rounds, 2 military knives. He handed one to MC, the other to Yena. "If it happens again," he told her, "you'll have to defend yourself. Don't rely on us every time." He looked at both of them. "Eventually, you'll need to learn how to use the rifle too. If something happens to me, you need to be ready." Silence followed. Then MC tried to lighten the mood. "You know, people who say stuff like that always die first in movies." Hakshul chuckled. "I'm not dying. I'm just saying. Be prepared." Nodded. "You're right. Honestly, I kinda want to try shooting, but we don't have much ammo." MC turned to her. "You want to try too?" But Yena suddenly shifted away. "I'm not sure. Just stay back." MC blinked. "Did I do something?" Hakshul smirked. "She acts like that around you at school too, doesn't she?" But Yena's thoughts were elsewhere. "He has no clue. I haven't even showered. It's disgusting." She felt self-conscious and irritated. "Why am I even thinking about him right now? Ugh, this is annoying." Still, they had more pressing concerns. Outside the building, the streets were eerily quiet. The three of them moved cautiously between abandoned cars, Hakshul giving directions based on potential infected zones. Yena's enhanced sense of smell proved useful, helping them avoid danger. MC turned to her with a grateful smile. "Thanks to your nose, we might actually survive out here." But something was off. He noticed Hakshul was limping. "You okay?" he asked. "You've been limping for a while." Hakshul winced. "Probably twisted something when I landed on that infected. Maybe tore a ligament." Yena looked worried. "Shouldn't you be resting?" MC added, "Didn't you just say we shouldn't push our limits?" Hakshul laughed bitterly. "Compared to when I defected from the north, this is nothing." Then he glanced around. "We should start looking for a place to sleep." Suddenly, Yena stopped. "Wait, I smell something. Behind that gate." Before they could respond, a scream echoed from above. They looked up. An old man was waving from a rooftop. Hey, you're survivors, right? Please, help me. I've been stuck up here for 2 days, Hakshul called back. How did you get up there? The man explained that he was scavenging for supplies when infected chased him. Now, the stairwell was swarming. He tried asking other survivors for help, but they shut the gate on him. How many infected? Hakshul asked. 6, maybe 7. I'm not sure. Hakshul frowned. Even if the man was telling the truth, that many infected were too much for them to handle. He apologized. Sorry, we're not in a position to help. He turned to MC and Yena. Let's go. But the man cried out, Please, I haven't been home in 2 days. My wife and sons are waiting. I haven't even found my daughter yet. If I don't get back, something might happen to them. MC raised his voice. Keep it down, you'll draw more of them. Yena turned to Hakshul. We're just leaving him? Hakshul's voice was firm. We can't risk our lives for a maybe. It's harsh, but we can't save everyone. MC paused, then said, Actually, I just thought of something. He looked at the others with a spark of hope in his eyes. Maybe we can save him. The MC led Yena and Hakshul to a line of abandoned cars near a tunnel. He explained the plan. Inside the tunnel were 6 or 7 infected. He would draw them out and lure them to the other side while Yena and Hakshul pushed a car to block the entrance behind him. Since Hakshul was injured, the MC would run a loop and come back. As soon as he entered, they'd push the car and seal it off. Hakshul asked if he could run fast enough to create distance. MC said he was above average, and more importantly, he wasn't afraid of being chased. They reviewed the layout to plan their movements. But Hakshul hesitated, questioning why they were risking their lives for a stranger. He asked what they had to gain. Yena agreed. It was dangerous, and the man could be someone untrustworthy. The MC went quiet, remembering the elders who had been captured earlier by Xiangbin's group. Then, he said the man didn't seem like a bad person. He reminded him of the people who died, and even a bit of his father. Eventually, Hakshul agreed to help, but insisted they only push the car enough to block the tunnel. After some effort, they moved it into position. MC warned them to use the rifle only if absolutely necessary. Yena asked what they'd do if there were other infected behind the gate or scattered nearby. MC said he'd ask the man on the roof to make noise, which would lure the infected upward and clear the area. Hakshul still thought it was risky and mentioned the possibility of a special infected. Yena reasoned that if there had been one, the man wouldn't have survived. Hakshul then made it clear. This would be the last time he risked his life for anyone else. From now on, he'd only do it for his sister. The MC made his move. After entering the building, a short silence followed. Then chaos erupted. He sprinted back towards them, a horde of infected hot on his heels. Without hesitation, Yena and Hakshul rushed to the car and waited for the right moment. When the MC dashed into the tunnel and shouted, they shoved the vehicle with all their strength, sealing the path and trapping the infected inside. The plan worked. They had done it. The man from the rooftop dropped to his knees in front of the MC, calling him his savior. Hakshul watched quietly, still unsure if he could trust this stranger. Later, the man explained he lived nearby in a home with working electricity, water, and supplies. He used to live near a restaurant, so he had food and gas canisters. That day, he'd gone out just to retrieve a portable stove. He said he searched daily for his daughter and asked where MC and the others were heading. MC told him he could speak casually. They were much younger. The man called MC his savior again. MC quietly thought he seemed genuine, like the kind-hearted workers he once knew. When Yena asked about his daughter, the man said he hadn't seen her since the outbreak began. He had left his wife and son to find her, but ended up trapped and barely made it back. He admitted he should have evacuated them first, but stayed behind in case his daughter returned. The man asked Hakshul where he got the rifle. Hakshul said he'd picked it up off the street. As night approached, the man invited them to his home for shelter. Hakshul accepted, calling it an honor. Yena was unsure, but MC supported the decision. They followed the man to his house. It was large with solar panels, iron gates, and barbed wire. Hakshul looked around, then reloaded his rifle. When the man asked why, he said it was just a precaution. MC reassured him. His friend wasn't dangerous. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Xiangbin kicked open a door, a knife in hand. Frustrated, he muttered that there were more humans than zombies worth killing. Slumping onto a couch, he noticed the whiteboard MC's group had used earlier. With a smirk, he wondered if they'd found Kang Hakshul, and if they were crossing the river through Line 5.